For years, we were told this was just one bad apple, but a new stack of court documents just dropped and it proves that this wasn't an accident. It was a coordinated protection racket involving some of the biggest names in the agency world. Today, we're not just looking at the allegations, we're naming the executives who spent millions to keep this quiet. We are going to dive deep into the real timeline, the deleted evidence, and the massive industry fallout that is currently shaking the foundations of every major studio in town. Now, before we get into the timeline they're trying to scrub, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. The mainstream media is currently being paid to bury this story, but I'm showing you the receipts they deleted and the context they're too scared to post. Don't let the PR spin win. Join the drip right now. If you look at the timestamp on this leaked internal memo from late 2023, you can see the exact moment the panic started within the legal department of one of the big three agencies. This is the smoking gun that the mainstream news cycles are choosing to ignore, because the people mentioned in these filings are the same people who greenlight their access. We have been conditioned to believe that when a celebrity scandal breaks, it is an isolated incident involving a single person and their poor choices. However, the documentation we are reviewing today paints a much more sinister picture of a systemic network designed to facilitate and then cover up the most egregious behavior imaginable. According to a source close to the ongoing litigation, these agencies operated less like talent management firms and more like high-level protection rackets. This is not just a PR stunt designed to get a quick settlement. This is genuine chaos that has the potential to bring down names we have considered untouchable for decades. The logic used by these industry plants and their handlers was simple: keep the talent working at any cost because a working star is a profitable star. If that meant silencing victims with seven-figure NDAs or using private investigators to dig up dirt on anyone who dared to speak out, that was just considered the cost of doing business. We are starting to see the cracks in this wall of silence. The first major revelation we need to discuss, which ranks as number 2 on our list of shocks, is the revelation of the secret agency kickbacks. For years, talent agents have claimed they work solely for the benefit of their clients, but these court documents suggest a shadow economy where agencies were receiving under-the-table payments from production companies to keep certain actors in line or to ensure that specific allegations never saw the light of day. This wasn't just about commissions, it was about control. When you realize that the person supposed to be protecting you is actually on the payroll of the people hurting you, the entire Hollywood structure collapses. This practice was especially prevalent during the mid-2010s, but continued well into the current decade, evolving into digital surveillance and catch-and-kill operations that make traditional tabloids look amateur. But that is nothing compared to our number 1 revelation, the industry secret. There is a centralized vault, figuratively speaking, of digital evidence that various agencies have been collecting on each other for years as a form of mutually assured destruction. This isn't just a conspiracy theory anymore. The legal filings explicitly mention a shared database of settled claims that were never reported to the authorities. They used this information as leverage to ensure that if one mogul fell, they wouldn't take the rest of the ship down with them. This is why we see certain names protected year after year, despite everyone in the industry knowing exactly what they were doing behind closed doors. They weren't just protecting the individual, they were protecting the system that allowed them all to profit. This vault includes deleted Instagram stories, frantic text exchanges from high-profile parties, and voice notes that were never meant to leave the sender's phone. Moving to our number 3 revelation, we have to look at the role of the fixers. These are not the glamorous characters you see on television shows. These are former intelligence officers and high-priced attorneys who specialized in what they called reputation management. The documents show a paper trail of payments made to these fixers that were categorized as consulting fees to avoid tax scrutiny. Their job was to ensure that any digital footprint of a scandal was scrubbed within hours. This explains why so many posts disappear and why so many stories that seem like they are about to blow up suddenly vanish from the front pages of the trades. It is a calculated effort to manipulate public perception by controlling the flow of information. The newest filings show that these fixers have even infiltrated certain social media moderation teams, allowing them to delete offending content before it can even hit the trending page. Finally, our number 4 revelation focuses on the financial paper trail involving offshore accounts used to funnel hush money. According to an investigative auditor who reviewed the recent filings, the complexity of these transactions suggests a level of sophistication usually reserved for international money laundering. This was a professionalized version of silence. They used shell companies to pay for everything from private security to luxury apartments for people who were essentially being kept in golden cages from preventing them from testifying. This is the part the mainstream media is too scared to post because it implicates the banking institutions that the studios rely on for their billion-dollar slate financing. These accounts, often based in jurisdictions like the Cayman Islands or Cyprus, were the primary tool for bypassing California's transparency laws. The fallout from this is going to be felt for the next decade. We are seeing major talent begin to jump ship, trying to distance themselves from agencies that are now being viewed as legal liabilities. This isn't just about one lawsuit, it's about the end of an era of total impunity. The public's appetite for these dark Hollywood stories is at an all-high because the average person can sense that the game is rigged. They see the legal battles, they see the Diddy and Manson twists, and they realize that the polished image of the red carpet is just a facade for a much darker reality. The agencies are currently in damage control mode, trying to frame this as the work of a few rogue employees, but the sheer volume of the evidence makes that impossible to believe. This was a top-down mandate to protect the brand at the expense of human lives. We have to ask ourselves how much longer this can continue before the entire house of cards comes down. The executives who spent millions to keep this quiet are now realizing that their money cannot buy silence in the digital age. Once the receipts are out there, they stay out there. The industry fallout is just beginning, and we are going to be here to document every single step of the collapse. We are looking at a complete restructuring of how talent is managed and how allegations are handled. The days of the secret vault and the offshore hush money are numbered. As more whistleblowers come forward, emboldened by these filings, the agencies will find it has nowhere left to hide. The people who thought they were the masters of the universe are finding out that they are just as vulnerable to the law as anyone else once the light is finally turned on. To understand the depth of this, you have to look at how these agencies coordinated with each other. For instance, when a scandal broke at one agency, the rival firms didn't always try to poach the talent. They often stayed quiet to avoid a domino effect that could hit their roster too. This cross-agency silence is a key focus of the new racketeering allegations. It wasn't competition, it was collusion. The documents reveal emergency summit emails sent between rival CEOs where they discussed how to suppress specific stories that threatened the general perception of Hollywood's elite. These emails contain names that would shock the average viewer, names of people who publicly champion social causes while privately signing checks to keep their most problematic stars on the screen. We are also seeing new evidence of shadow banning tactics used by victims who tried to take their stories to TikTok or YouTube. The agencies didn't just silence people with money, they silenced them with technology. By working with specialized PR firms that have deep ties to tech platforms, they were able to suppress hashtags and reduce the reach of certain videos, making it seem like a victim's story just didn't gain traction. This is the ultimate form of gaslighting. When you combine this with the offshore accounts and the private fixers, you realize that any star who stays at these agencies is implicitly agreeing to be part of the protection racket. The transition from the Me Too era to this new dark Hollywood era is marked by a total loss of faith in internal human resources departments. The documents show that HR was often just another arm of the legal defense, used to gather information on complainants rather than to help them. This revelation is driving a massive wave of resignations among mid-level employees who are no longer willing to be the enforcers for their bosses. They are becoming the primary source of the receipts we are seeing today. We are tracking several other related cases that are expected to break in the coming weeks, each one adding another layer to this story of systemic corruption. The mainstream media will continue to offer the sanitized version, the PR-friendly spin that protects their advertisers and their access. But here, we are going to continue following the money and the deleted posts. We are going to continue naming the names that the trades are too afraid to print. This is the real story of Hollywood, not the one they sell you during award award season. It is a story of power, greed, and a total lack of accountability that is finally being challenged in a way that cannot be ignored. The executives, the fixers, and the agencies are all part of a machine that is finally breaking down. And as it breaks, the truth is finally starting to drip out. The next phase will be the criminal referrals, and we already have word that several grand juries are being impaneled to look at the financial side of these protection schemes. Stay tuned because the drip is only getting started.